Good morning, everyone. I'm Desta Tadel, and I'm excited to welcome you all today. We'll be exploring the fascinating ways physics is applied in various fields. Today's presentation is titled Grade 12 Unit 1, Application of Physics in Other Fields. We'll look at different areas where physics principles make a real difference. So stay with me as we uncover how physics shapes our world beyond the classroom. Let's get started. Science is a collection of different scientific fields or disciplines. It's like a big puzzle, where each piece represents a specific area of study. When we combine these pieces, it helps us better understand the world around us. There are many scientific disciplines, each with its own unique character and history. But what's really interesting is that these disciplines are interconnected. They depend on each other and even strengthen each other. You might think of them as having fixed borders, but in reality, those borders are quite flexible. Advances in one area often lead to progress in others. For example, breakthroughs in physics can influence biology or environmental science. Recognizing how each discipline can contribute to others is really important because it fosters collaboration. This collaborative effort is essential for the development of science as a whole. It also allows us to make meaningful contributions to society and protect our environment. So, understanding these connections helps us see the bigger picture of how science works together to solve problems and improve our world. Physics is the most essential field of science, and it has a strong influence on most scientific developments. You can see concepts of physics in many modern sciences, connecting different fields together. Physics is a branch of natural science that aims to describe the fundamental aspects of our universe. These include understanding what things are in the universe, what properties of those things are noticeable, and what processes those things or their properties undergo. In simpler terms, physics tries to explain the basic mechanisms that make our universe behave the way it does. This understanding is crucial because it helps us comprehend the natural world and how everything around us functions. Today, I want to talk about how physics and chemistry can sometimes overlap, especially when we're studying systems that involve matter made up of electrons and nuclei. These tiny particles are fundamental to understanding both fields. The key point here is that the basic laws that govern how matter behaves apply to both physics and chemistry, which shows just how interconnected they really are. Both disciplines are fundamentally concerned with matter itself and how it interacts with energy. Whether we're looking at how atoms bond or how particles move and transfer energy, the principles are quite similar. In chemistry, we focus a lot on atoms and molecules, but these ideas are ultimately rooted in the deeper physics of atomic and subatomic particles. This is where atomic and subatomic particle physics come into play. They help explain the theories and rules that chemists use to understand atomic behavior. So, in essence, the chemistry we learn in the classroom is really a window into the complex world of particles at a very tiny scale. Both chemists and physicists often use similar methods to study systems, with many particles interacting in complicated ways. These interactions can be so complex that no computer, no matter how powerful, can simulate them perfectly, and they often surpass what the human mind can easily grasp. This highlights how challenging and fascinating the study of matter at this level really is. Let's delve into why understanding the physics of atoms and subatomic particles is so crucial. It helps us see exactly how individual atoms come together through covalent bonds to form molecules. By studying these microscopic particles, we can gain a clearer picture of the forces and energies at play during bond formation. This knowledge isn't just qualitative, it allows us to quantify things. We can determine which molecules are more energetically stable and understand the strength of different bonds by looking at the energy values involved. Essentially, the physics provides the tools to predict and explain molecular behavior, linking the microscopic world to the larger chemical processes we observe. This connection is fundamental to grasping how matter is built at the most basic level and how it influences the properties of substances around us. Now, let's explore how the physics of energy, specifically related to heat, helps chemists understand reactions better. Essentially, it tells us whether a particular reaction can happen in the direction it's written. If a reaction is energetically favorable, it can proceed spontaneously. It also helps us determine the composition of a reaction system when it reaches equilibrium, meaning the point where the forward and reverse reactions occur at the same rate. This concept of heat energy acts as a bridge between what we observe on a macroscopic level, like temperature and heat transfer, and the microscopic world, where individual molecules and atoms behave according to their own properties. So, understanding heat allows us to connect these two scales seamlessly. Next, I want to introduce spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is all about studying how matter interacts with electromagnetic radiation, like light, by looking at how this radiation's wavelength or frequency changes during the interaction. It's a powerful tool because it helps us identify and analyze substances based on their unique spectral signatures. Spectroscopy is fundamental across many fields, especially in physics and chemistry. It helps us uncover details about atomic and molecular structures, understand energy levels, and even monitor chemical reactions in real time. So, in summary, whether we're talking about the energy-driving reactions or the ways we analyze matter, these concepts are crucial for deepening our understanding of the physical world and how it all connects. Most of what we understand about the structure of atoms and molecules actually comes from spectroscopic studies. These techniques have been developed through the collaborative efforts of both physicists and chemists, highlighting how intertwined these fields really are. When we look at the bigger picture, the study of matter and electricity in physics forms the foundation for many key concepts in chemistry. For example, understanding atomic and molecular structures, X-ray diffraction, radioactivity, the periodic properties of elements, and even the nature of chemical bonds. All these areas are deeply connected to physical principles. This clearly shows us that chemistry is not isolated. It's rooted in atomic and molecular physics. In essence, our knowledge of chemical behavior and structure is built upon the physical understanding of atoms and molecules. To understand how life works, it is essential to understand physics. Physics helps us explain many aspects of the human body. For example, it can describe the mechanics of human motion, how our muscles and bones work together to move us around. It also explains the energetics of metabolism, which is how our bodies convert food into energy. Physics is key to understanding the fluid dynamics of blood flow through our vessels, showing how blood circulates efficiently. It helps us grasp the mechanisms behind speaking and hearing, revealing the physics behind sound waves and vibrations. And of course, it explains how our optical imaging system, the eye, works to help us see. In this section, we'll briefly explore some of these physics concepts within living things. Understanding these principles gives us a deeper insight into the incredible complexity and beauty of life. Today, I want to talk about how Newtonian mechanics helps us understand movement in animals and their body parts. It's fascinating because by combining physics and biology, we can explain things like how athletes manage to run so quickly, and also why the fastest animal in the world, the cheetah, is able to reach such impressive speeds. Newtonian mechanics tells us that a body stays stable under gravity when its center of mass is directly over its base of support. When this is true, the reaction force at the base cancels out the force of gravity, and the torque, or twisting force, produced by gravity is balanced. But if the center of mass moves outside the base, then the torque caused by the weight tends to make the body fall. For example, when a person falls, it's because their center of gravity has shifted beyond their feet. The wider the base of support, that is, the larger the area your feet cover, the more stable you are. And if your center of gravity is closer to that base, it's harder to topple over. This principle also explains how we use our limbs for different tasks, whether we're running, jumping, or balancing. All these movements can be understood through the lens of Newtonian mechanics, showing just how interconnected physics and biology really are. Today, I want to talk about the physics of fluid flow and how it relates to biology. You see, concepts like viscosity, the equation of continuity, and turbulent flow are all crucial for understanding how blood circulates and how blood pressure is maintained in multicellular organisms. These principles help us grasp how fluids behave inside living bodies and influence vital processes. Now, moving on, Let's consider soft-bodied animals, such as sea anemones and earthworms. These creatures lack a rigid skeleton or firm structure, so they rely on a different principle, Pascal's principle, to produce movement. Essentially, when pressure is applied to a confined fluid, it transmits equally in all directions, allowing these animals to generate body motion without bones or muscles in the traditional sense. So, in summary, understanding fluid physics isn't just about liquids and gases in a lab. It's deeply connected to how living organisms function and survive. This intersection of physics and biology reveals the elegant ways nature applies physical laws in everyday life. Sound is a mechanical wave, which means it requires a medium to travel through, and it's produced by vibrating bodies. In our case, the vocal cords play a crucial role. They come together and then vibrate as air passes through them during exhalation from the lungs. This vibration is what generates the sound wave that forms your voice. When the vocal cords vibrate, they disturb the surrounding air molecules. These molecules are forced to follow the motion of the vibrating cords, creating a vibrational disturbance that propagates outward as a sound wave. Essentially, the vibration sets off a chain reaction where each molecule transfers its motion to the next, allowing the sound to travel through the air. Once these vibrations reach our ear, they cause the eardrum to vibrate as well. This mechanical movement is then converted into nerve impulses, which our brain interprets as sound. So, in a nutshell, the process involves vibrating vocal cords creating air vibrations, which then travel through the air and are eventually interpreted by our brain as the sounds we recognize as speech or other noises. Many life processes involve electrical phenomena, and today we'll see how crucial they are. For example, the nervous system of animals and the control of muscle movement are both governed by electrical interactions. These electrical phenomena are especially important in living organisms, particularly within the nervous system. Within this system, specialized cells called neurons form a complex network throughout the body. This network is responsible for receiving, processing, and transmitting information from one part of the body to another. The core of this network is located in the brain, which has the remarkable ability to store and analyze information. Based on this information, the nervous system can control various parts of the body, making sure everything functions smoothly. Now, the messages that travel through this system are actually electrical pulses. These pulses are transmitted by the neurons. When a neuron detects an appropriate stimulus, it produces an electrical pulse that travels along its cable-like structure, known as an axon. This process is fundamental to how our bodies communicate internally. Connecting the electrical phenomena we see in physics to the biological functions that keep us alive and active. Light is the electromagnetic radiation within the wavelength range of about 400 to 700 nanometers. Although it represents just a small part of the entire electromagnetic spectrum, it plays a crucial role in both physics and biology. This tiny portion of the spectrum is fundamental because it's what most living systems rely on. Most of the sunlight reaching Earth's surface falls within this visible light range, and over time, life has evolved to make use of it. For example, in photosynthesis, plants harness light to transform carbon dioxide and water into organic molecules, which are essential building blocks for all living organisms. Animals, on the other hand, have developed light-sensitive organs like eyes, which provide vital information about their environment. Interestingly, some bacteria and insects can even produce their own light through chemical reactions, a phenomenon known as bioluminescence. When we study light through the lens of optical physics, we explore a variety of topics, things like microscopes, telescopes, how we see colors, pigments, illumination techniques, spectroscopy, and lasers. All of these areas have important applications in the life sciences, helping us better understand biological processes and improve medical technologies. So, in essence, light isn't just a physical phenomenon. It's deeply intertwined with the biology of life itself, shaping how organisms perceive and interact with their worlds. Astrophysics is the fascinating branch of science that explores the physics behind heavenly objects, which are also known as astronomical objects. These include everything from our solar system and its various planets, moons, and the sun, to the properties, birth, life, and death of stars. It also covers interstellar gas and dust, which fill the space between stars, as well as entire galaxies and groups of galaxies, known as clusters. Ultimately, astrophysics aims to understand the universe as a whole, giving us insights into its origins, structure, and evolution. This field connects deeply with our overall quest to comprehend the cosmos and our place within it. Today, I want to talk about how Newton's law of gravitation helps us understand the motion of celestial bodies. Specifically, it describes how the moon orbits a planet and how planets orbit the sun. Newton was able to explain Kepler's laws of planetary motion using his own laws of motion and gravity. This was a huge breakthrough because it linked the observed phenomena with fundamental principles. Understanding centripetal and centrifugal forces from physics is also key here. These forces help us grasp what keeps objects in orbit, like planets around the sun, moons around planets, and even artificial satellites around Earth. Basically, the balance between these forces explains why objects stay in their paths instead of flying off into space. So, Newton's laws are not just about motion on Earth. They're the foundation for understanding the entire universe. Astronomers gather information about radiation from space objects to understand a variety of cosmic phenomena. They study how stars are born and how they die, as well as how hot objects are, how far away they are, and even how the universe itself was formed. To do this, they rely on special tools called telescopes that can detect different parts of the electromagnetic spectrum. Each type of telescope is designed to pick up a specific kind of radiation. For example, there are radio telescopes for radio waves, infrared telescopes for infrared radiation, and optical telescopes for visible light. Since most of this radiation is invisible to our eyes, computers play a crucial role. They process the data collected by these telescopes and turn it into images that we can see and interpret. Now, the colors we see in these images are called false colors. That's because computers assign colors to wavelengths that our eyes normally can't see. This way, astronomers can analyze the data more easily and gain a clearer understanding of what's happening in space. So, in essence, the combination of specialized telescopes and computer-generated images allows us to explore the universe in ways that would otherwise be impossible, revealing the secrets of the cosmos beyond what our eyes can perceive. Today is Saturday, November 1, 2025, and we're focusing on some advanced physics concepts for grade 12 at Werda Higher and Secondary School. On this slide, number 17, we're continuing our discussion, so I'll pick up where we left off. The key point here is to understand how different physical principles connect and build upon each other to give us a complete picture of the phenomena we're studying. It's important to see these connections because they help us grasp complex ideas more easily and see the bigger picture in physics. For example, understanding the relationships between force, motion, and energy is fundamental, and seeing how they influence each other deepens our comprehension. This slide reminds us that physics isn't just about memorizing formulas, but about understanding the underlying concepts and how they apply in real-world situations. As we progress through this course, keep in mind that these connections will help you solve problems more effectively and think critically about physical systems. So, let's continue to explore these ideas with an open mind and see how they fit into the overall theme of understanding the universe through physics. Now, let's talk about the inverse square law of apparent brightness. Essentially, this law tells us that the brightness we see from a star decreases with the square of the distance from us. So, if a star is twice as far away, it appears 4 times dimmer. The true brightness of a star, also called its luminosity, is an intrinsic property, meaning it's a fixed characteristic of the star itself, regardless of how far we are from it. Astronomers often use the light year as a measurement of distance in space. A light year is simply the distance that light travels in 1 year, which is about 9.46 trillion kilometers. It's a very useful unit because it relates to how we perceive the universe through the light that reaches us. Another commonly used unit is the astronomical unit, or AU. This is roughly the distance from the Earth to the Sun, about 1.5 times 10 to the power of 11 meters. It helps astronomers measure distances within our solar system more conveniently. So, understanding these units and the inverse square law gives us a clearer picture of how brightness and distance are interconnected in our universe. Today, I want to talk about how atomic astrophysics plays a vital role in understanding the universe. Basically, it involves doing atomic physics calculations that are not just theoretical, but actually useful to astronomers in their work. By using atomic data, astronomers can interpret what they observe in space. You see, the only information astronomers get about a distant object comes through the light it emits. And that light is generated through atomic transitions, electrons moving between energy levels within atoms. These transitions create the emission and absorption lines we observe in spectra. The physics behind these processes, how radiation is emitted or absorbed, is closely linked to the structure of atoms and their energy levels. Understanding the detailed structure of atoms helps us decode the light from stars, nebulae, and other celestial objects. So, in essence, atomic physics provides the key to unlocking the stories written in the light of the universe. When electrons and atoms jump from a higher to a lower atomic orbit, a photon is emitted. This process is known as emission. Conversely, a photon is absorbed when an electron moves from a lower to a higher orbit, which is called absorption. The key thing to remember is that both emission and absorption depend on the specific characteristics of individual atoms. This is really important because by studying the spectra of light emitted or absorbed by stars, we can learn a lot about their compositions, temperatures, and motions. When atoms in interstellar matter are heated by nearby stars, electrons get excited and jump to higher energy levels. As they fall back down to lower orbits, they emit light at very specific wavelengths. These wavelengths correspond exactly to the energy difference between the two orbits. The temperature of the object influences the nature of this emitted light. So, by analyzing these emitted wavelengths, we can determine what the star is made of and how hot it is. This process of studying spectral lines helps astronomers unlock the secrets of distant celestial objects. Today, we're going to explore how physics and geology are interconnected and how they help us understand our Earth better. First, let's talk about Earth science, which is the study of different parts of our planet. Earth science covers a wide range of topics, from molten lava and icy mountain peaks to steep valleys and towering waterfalls. It also includes studying the atmosphere high above the Earth and the Earth's core deep beneath the surface. One important branch of Earth science is geology. Geology focuses on studying the solid and liquid matter that makes up the Earth, as well as the various processes that shape these materials over time. By understanding geology, we gain insights into how the Earth has evolved, how earthquakes and volcanoes happen, and how different rocks and minerals are formed. So, in essence, Earth science and geology are essential for understanding the physical makeup of our planet and the dynamic processes that continuously shape it. This knowledge not only helps us appreciate Earth's complexity, but also prepares us to better address natural phenomena and environmental challenges. Understanding geological processes really depends on grasping various physics concepts. For instance, force helps us understand how rocks fracture or deform, while optics is essential when studying light interactions within minerals. Atomic structure gives insight into the composition of rocks, and electromagnetic radiation allows us to analyze their properties remotely. Heat and heat flow are crucial for understanding geothermal processes, and electricity and magnetism help us explore properties like magnetization in rocks. Stress and strain are key to understanding deformation, and waves, including sound waves and fluid flow, are vital for probing underground structures. In geology, these physics principles help us examine properties of rocks and minerals, such as electrical conductivity, density, magnetization, radioactivity, and elasticity. To study these properties, geologists often take samples by excavating different layers of the Earth. But they also have non-invasive methods. They can send various types of waves from the surface, and analyze how these waves travel through the rocks, giving us valuable information without needing to dig. All of these techniques and concepts are interconnected and help us better understand the Earth's inner workings, which is the overall goal of this presentation. Geology is a vast field with many different branches, and because of that, most geologists tend to specialize in one specific area. For example, there's mineralogists who focus on studying minerals like halite, which is common rock salt, quartz, calcite, and magnetite. They look at what minerals are made of and how their structures are arranged. But geology isn't just about understanding minerals. It also plays a crucial role in finding valuable natural resources. Geologists use their knowledge to detect where deposits like ore minerals, fossil fuels such as oil and coal, and other hydrocarbons might be located underground. They also help identify geothermal reservoirs, hot water or steam reservoirs that can be harnessed for energy, and groundwater resources, which are vital for drinking and agriculture. All of this highlights how geology connects directly to our daily lives and economy. It's about understanding the Earth's materials and processes to find and manage the resources we depend on. Thank you all for your attention today. I really appreciate your time and engagement throughout this presentation. I hope the insights shared have been helpful and inspiring for your studies and future endeavors. If you have any questions or want to discuss further, please feel free to reach out. Once again, thank you very much, and I wish you all the best in your academic journey.